What's up, guys? It's the real main event, the Rogue Soldier, the essential John L. Crossfire.
And I'm Mrs. Crossfire.
And once again, you guys are tuned into Caught
in Conversation. Shakalaka-laka.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 86 of Caught in Conversation. As always, I am your host, the essential John L. Crossfire, and we're back to normal. We're back on Spotify, Podbean, and Google Pod. Go check out the previous episodes that were YouTube exclusives. They are now on the regular feed. I don't know if I'm going to go back to weekly episodes just yet, but yay, we've taken a step. We're back on all platforms, and I'm very excited. I'm back in a very big way today because I have a massive guest, and it is Big Bad Reborn Jeremiah Kingsley, and I'm very excited for this one. And obviously, as you listen to the conversation, you'll hear how that came to be. But basically, myself and What If It's Cool, we did a match review, and Jeremiah, very uncharacteristically of himself, slid into old Crossfire's DMs, and we had a great chat. We talked about his humble beginnings. We talked about, of course, the late Roxy Ryot, and of course, I will put the GoFundMe link in the description of this episode. You know, unfortunately, it's very sad. It's coming up 4 months. I think it's actually 4 months today as I record this intro that she passed away, which has just absolutely flown by. But yeah, myself and Jeremiah, we touch on that. We share some great stories, and we just talk about what he's looking forward to on this comeback tour that he is on. But before we get to the conversation, I've got to give you the song of the week, and it is Unsainted by Slipknot. And as you get to the tail end of this conversation, you'll hear why I've picked that song. Absolute fucking banger. Used to be a theme song for NXT. Remember when wrestling had cool theme songs? They gave us a slight glimpse. We thought we were heading back there, and then they took us away from it. But yeah, that song is Unsainted by Slipknot. And the match of the week is a match that I actually haven't seen yet because we're waiting until I watch it with What If It's Cool. And that is Jeremiah Kingsley himself versus the late Roxy Ryot at SHWA Forever 18. It was a kitchen carnage match, or as I called it, a Hell's Kitchen death match. And as Jeremiah talks about in this conversation, it was actually their 1 year anniversary as a couple, and they're out there beating the crap out of each other in a hardcore match. If they say romance is dead, they're fucking lying, because that's absolute goals. But again, that match, Jeremiah Kingsley versus Roxy Ryot at SHWA Forever 18, that match is on YouTube, as we'll discuss in this conversation. But yeah, let's not fiddle fuck around. Let's get into this conversation. Let's get caught in conversation. Fuck it, I'm going to leave that in. Let's get caught in conversation with Reborn, Jeremiah Kingsley. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here with Reborn, Jeremiah Kingsley. I'm very excited for this. I still can't believe that you slipped into my DMs. I was going to message you and I was nervous as hell, but myself and What If It's Cool did that review, and you actually reached out to me, so I do thank you again for that. But we talked a little bit off air, but how are you doing, just to break the ice, you know, for everyone that's going to listen to this?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't usually slide into people's DMs. It's very uncharacteristic of myself. But no, I watched it back, and it was just really, really cool to see the review and of the match, and the whole show was just phenomenal. Like, we raised over $7,000 for meningitis, which was huge. I did actually having to donate that because I had to leave my bank account, but I digress. Apart from that, you know, I'm pretty good at the moment. Obviously, father of 5 and crazy busy with that, as well as wrestling. And like my life is either my kids and then wrestling, or wrestling then my kids. It depends on the day you see me. So yeah, I'm pretty good at the moment.
That's good to hear. But we'll break the ice, Jeremiah. What is your earliest wrestling memory? How did all this crazy journey begin with?
Well, I'll take you back. I think I was about 12 years old, possibly, or 13, I can't remember. And I was down near Fremantle, which is about 20 minutes from where I live now, and pulled into this deli, and my dad was grabbing some stuff, and I noticed this little tiny, like, you know when you walk into delis and you see the old TV box, a little small TV box in the corner on the top for people waiting for their mates and shit. Well, I saw that, and Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels with a special enforcer Mike Tyson on the telly, and I'd never seen it before.
Holy shit! Just sitting there on the TV inside the deli.
Yeah. I was like, holy crap! What is this? This is cool. I didn't know this was a real thing. Oh my god, they're actually hurting each other. This is awesome. 12, 13-year-old me is just going absolute batshit crazy for it. And then, that kind of started from there. I found out that, it was on the old Fox Sports or Fox 8 on the Foxtel. So I started trying to watch it, even though we were 2 weeks behind in America. I kept up as much as I could, WWF.com. I was literally around for the beginning of the Attitude Era, which, I'm 36 now, so when I say it like that, it makes me feel really old. But, that's how it started for me, and I was hooked ever since. It was just like these people going in there and putting on a hell of a show that just I went nuts for. And then, being a young boy as well, I got introduced to Trish Stratus, and the rest is history.
Just like Tori Wilson said in her Hall of Fame speech, I got a lot of you through puberty. She definitely changed my life as a young boy, especially going through puberty. But no, I actually really got hooked because there was a WCW Stampede, I think, and it fell on my birthday. And I was lucky enough that my mum allowed me to get the show. I think it was DDP versus Goldberg. I'm not sure. Like I said, it was a long time ago now. I think he was the heavyweight champion at that point in time, and I was just like, holy shit, I didn't even know there were two companies. Was that the Halloween match where like the ending got cut off?
No, I think because my memory has gotten really shit since I've gotten older, so going back that far, I just remember sitting there watching DDP wrestle in the ring in WCW, and I was just like, yeah, this is pretty this is pretty sick. So, I'm going to start watching this as well, and then realize they're doing the Monday Night Wars and whatnot, and I'm like, oh, I'm so hooked.
Fuck yeah, that would have been amazing. See, I'm almost 29, so I kind of just missed out on the Monday Night Wars. I was kind of born, 94, so I was in the Attitude Era, but I was just a little bit too young to understand it fully. And even watching it back, you can see how amazing it is, but I can't imagine what it would have been like actually getting to live through that. But at what point then does your fandom of, you see Stone Cold in the deli, then you discover WCW, at what point do you then say that I want to be a wrestler, or I could be a wrestler, and then how do you end up getting into the business yourself?
Well, at that point when I saw it, I wanted to do it straight away. My mum hated me for it because I broke 3 beds growing up. So I ended up having to sleep on a mattress on the floor because I continued to powerbomb my brother through the bed. But we fast forward a bit, and I'm in my late 20s, and I've been playing football for God knows how long. And I had not knee reconstruction. I had a shoulder reconstruction. I was missing 22% bone off my shoulder. I had snapped collarbones, all sorts of horrible shit to the left side of my body. So I was just like, as much as I want to continue playing footy, I need to find something else. And then at that point in time, I was just about to end my relationship with my first 2 kids' mother. And I'd always told her, these guys are only down the road from us. I want to go train. And she's like, don't give up your day job. It's stupid. So I was just like, oh, okay. But I got out of that, and then I actually went down to a training session the beginning of April of 2017. I was 30 years old, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm too old for this, or whether or not 30 is the right time to start. You're in your prime or whatnot, because being a wrestler, it doesn't matter how old you are, really, as long as you can execute the moves and the character work and the positioning and all that sort of stuff, it doesn't really matter how old you are. So, I thought, I'll give it a go. I met Roxy that night. She scared the absolute piss out of me. because I'd seen the video that linked up to like, oh, come out for tryouts, and it was just her standing in front of a green screen, all in gear and get up, and she just scared the absolute crap out of me. She's looking mean and nasty. I'm like, oh, I don't want to piss her off or see her down a dark alley. No, thank you. But then, I got to know her, and within 3 months, I was quite lucky. There was a spot available in a story, not just a match, just like in an actual story, and they went through the Creator Wrestler workshop at the Southern Hemisphere Wrestling Alliance, where I was training, and they basically asked, who are the trainees now, almost ring ready to be able to participate on the show. And the trainers looked over and said, yep, Kingsley straight away. So I got asked if I wanted to do it, and my jaw hit the floor, and I was like, I was so excited. I was like, hell yes, I want to do it. So June of 2017, I made my debut, being unveiled as a potential tag team partner for Jared Slate. And then I turned on him that night and joined the infamous Ravage Foundation with Roxy Ryot and the villainous Sean Ravage, who was the GM of Schwa at the time. And then we built towards the Mid-Year Mayhem, the second biggest show of the year for them. And I had my debut match tagging with Roxy against Jared Slate and John Dozer. And that to me was really huge, because not many people can actually say that their first match they wrestled Jared Slate. Not only that did they wrestle him, they pinned him and won the match.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
So, I was very privileged and very proud, and to be able to finally live like a dream, that I was able to participate in that. And then they basically said after that, look, you did everything you needed to do. Now let's work on building you a character, and we can make a real big run of this if you want to, if you're still interested. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do this. So Jeremiah Kingsley was born, bloody Bullfrog champs were born, and the rest is almost kind of history.
So how did the name Jeremiah Kingsley come to be? Did you come up with that, or was that bestowed upon you by your trainers?
No, I came up with the name. A little funny story. I walked up the Slate. I was like, look, I'm figuring out to try and find a name, and I'm really, really stuck on a couple. And he goes, all right, well, what do you got? And I told him the first one, and he laughed at me. Then I told him the second one, and he goes, what the fuck, dickhead? You're not an African-American black man. Just like, chill. I wanted to call myself Cooper Jackson. And he's just like, yeah, no, that just doesn't work at all. That is not you. You need something that you're going to be a dick heel, right? You need something that people are going to hate you for. And being a dick heel, you need to find something that they can make fun of you for. So I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden, radio pops on, and Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog comes on. I'm like,
So it actually stemmed from the song. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, no one else really knows about it, because I never really spoke about the fact that that's how I got Jeremiah. And I was trying to figure out what I could put on the end. And I always thought of myself as like parading myself around like I was a king. So at that same point in time, I was just like, yeah, sweet. How about Jeremiah Kingsley? And he goes, it sucks, but it'll work. We ran with it. I find out then, obviously, in New South Wales, there's another person by the name of Kingsley, so I couldn't just cut off Jeremiah. I've heard great things about her. She seems awesome.
Excellent worker.
Yeah. Oh man, I'd love to one day to be able to meet all the Pete's over at PWA and whatnot. And she's definitely one of those people I'd like to meet. So I shared the ring with Grayson Waller. I was going to say Matty Wahlberg, but yeah, Grayson Waller. I shared the ring with him when he came over to Perth, so that was cool. I can tell you about that shortly. But Jeremiah Kingsley just stemmed from that, and then the smart audience caught on and started chanting Bullfrog. And at first, I was just like, "But this is how I came up with the idea. I don't like people calling me Bullfrog." And then the booker was like, "But it's good for them to call you Bullfrog, because then they hate you, and that's your role." I'm like, oh, okay, so maybe I just crack the shits and stop up and down and, let them win and let them get to me, and portray that out to the audience. So then they think that, they're having a jolly good old time taking the piss out of me when I'm trying to be this. I called myself the future. I was the future of pro wrestling in WA because I was the fastest ever graduate to come out of a training school within 3 months to then be on shows and just be this mega superstar. I was full of myself. So I had to let him win. And then, the Bullfrog name has just stuck.
That's one of the main things I remember from seeing your Facebook post is after every show it was like, reminder, I am not a bullfrog. It popped me every bloody time I'd see it.
I don't know if you ever saw, but one of my greatest rivalries that I had throughout my career, unfortunately I didn't have as many matches as I'd like, but we had more of a rivalry over social media, and that was me and Ryan Allen. And Ryan Allen would every show I'm on, no matter where, if he was working or if he wasn't. If he wasn't working, he'd be sitting in the crowd just going, Bullfrog, and just starting it. And I'm just getting really upset because I know it's him who's doing it. But I came up with this idea. I'm like, look, I need to kind of cash in a little bit on this Bullfrog shtick. I can't just keep, gloating that I'm the greatest thing. So I decided I found a guy who did a drawing of me cartoon-wise, but instead of my face, it was a massive bullfrog's face instead. So I got in contact with him and said, look, I'll pay you the rights for it if I can have it. I'd like to make some shirts out of it. So that was all sweet, no worries. And then I went to Ryan. I'm like, look, I have an idea for a really stupid promo, and I think you're going to go for it. So the whole premise of the promo is that Ryan Allen rocks up at my house because this is COVID times, right? So we've literally just come out of a lockdown and we're able to kind of see each other, but there's no real wrestling going on at the time. So I'm like, cool, come over. He comes over and he's got like this really stupid, fake, recognizable mustache over the top of his ginger face. And he walks up with his hat backwards and I'm like, what's your name going to be? So he calls himself Giuseppe. I'm like, but that's Italian. You're speaking like a freaking Englishman right now. He's like, hello there, mate. How are you? I've got a delivery for you. And I'm just like, so here's me sitting at the going, well, what do you want? Go away, dickhead. Oh, no, it's just me, the postman. He ends up giving me a package and he looks over my shoulder and he's like, oh, nice lily pad you got out the back there, mate. And I'm like, it's not a pond. It's my backyard. Just go away. He's like, all right, mate. See you later. Then he walks back to his car and he's just sitting there laughing. And then he stops at the car, pulls his fucking moustache off, even though we know it's him. And then he's just like, got him. I get cuts back to me, and then I open it, and it's literally one like a piece of paper that's saying "sucked in bullfrog." Then I pull out the shirt and it's literally like Jeremiah was a bullfrog and always will be. And then there's a picture of the actual frog on the front with the drawing. So then I spit it. I'm like, Ryan, and I go chasing after him out the front. He speeds past the camera and you just see me standing at the end of my driveway, stomping and jumping up and down and spinning around, like having this real big, massive tanty. One of the best promos I think I've ever done. It was just dumb and stupid. And yeah, I was just like, sweet, see if I can get anyone to buy me my shirts. And no one bought my shirts. So I was like, damn it. Damn all that for nothing. Oh, well, I had fun.
I mean, the idea was solid. The idea was
there, but the execution was just, yeah.
It's like, when they wanted Chris Jericho to have merch as a heel and he's like, no. And they're like, okay, so like, let's start selling Shut Up Jericho shirts and he still gets the rights.
It's funny too because my biggest ever selling shirt was something I didn't create, and I was really annoyed about it. But it was the owner of Schwa. He put together. This was when I won won the Schwa Championship. The whole story going in was that 3 months prior to me winning the belt, I was humiliated by the owner and by the first ever Schwa Hall of Famer, being Mike Massive, and he humiliated me by giving me a tea bag, And because he's a very massive guy, I'm sitting on the floor and he just throws his crotch from the second rope. He just fucking, he comes off the rope and then just slams his fucking guts and everything straight into my face. And then the owner at the time, he's come out as a rip-off of NWO Hulk Hogan. And he gives me the old leg drop and everything else. And I look silly and stupid and whatnot. And he's like, the next show, I'm on my comeback and I destroy some kid. Then the show after that, I managed to beat Del Cano, and like everyone's just like, okay, he's on a bit of a roll. I beat Craven for the Schwa Heavyweight Championship in 39 seconds. Literally just got my manager up on one side after the bell rang, pointed towards him. He went to swing at him. He dropped down. I literally just pulled his tights, bang, 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 1, 2, 3. Came out as the champion. So my high-selling shirt was literally Kingsley, 39 seconds.
Fuck yeah.
Ooh. And I didn't get a fucking cent from it. I had to pay for my own fucking shirt. I was so sad.
Like, at least give me
but
a
I
free
suppose
shirt.
those were the digs at the time. Yeah, I had to pay for my own shirt. I was like, this sucks. It's a shirt. I'm going to cut the sleeves off and wear it to training. So I did.
I personally can't say enough nice things about Craven. Unfortunately, the one time that I actually got to meet him in person, I wasn't in the best mood just because I was sick of the company we're at the time, and he may have got a bit of attitude from me, but we have spoken since then, and I did a seminar with him on that same day, and I've put that over as one of the best training sessions that I've had. Well, probably the best training session I've ever had, but even online seminars and stuff, it's one of the most thorough ones I've had is in terms of, basic stuff. And he gave me some good feedback, so I've always held that over my shoulders.
Craven, if I'm going to touch on him for a minute, Craven, personally and professionally, means the absolute world to me. Not only was he man enough to put me over in 39 seconds and lose the main championship, he is my greatest opponent. He is also the best match I've ever had in my life, where he still put me over because he was going over and crossing over to a new rivalry with his best friend who turned on him that night. But like I had a 20-minute match with him that was like the best thing I've ever done. And then the whole Roxy show as well. Like as soon as he found out about her passing, he was one of the first people publicly to give a little moment to her when he was over at Wide Bay. Wide Bay were gracious enough to let him have the mic for a minute, and they put up the image I made for her when I announced that she passed. That was really hard to make, but I needed to put it out there because I felt like that she had a bit of a following, and she never knew that either. She just thought she's just some chick from WA and no one really cares about her. But I proved her wrong, definitely, because I know it went countrywide about what happened to her. But yeah, Craven was one of the first ones. He was one of the ones that just really reached out to me, just threw support around me. I'll do anything for him, whether we're rivals or friends. It doesn't matter. He's one of the nicest and top guys in wrestling in general. And to be able to share the ring with him is something I'll always cherish, and hopefully one day I'll get to do it again. Purely because I know, and he told me this before verbatim, I am the best person to ever take his freaking Canadian Destroyer. He loves giving that to me, and because I'm a big boy, I can flip like a motherfucker. So,
he absolutely is just like, fuck yes.
Well, I mean, my last match that I had in Schwa was I missed a moonsault from the second rope, and I'd never moonsaulted in a match before. But I was like, if I land on this guy, I'm going to kill him. I'm like 120 plus. Like, this is not safe. I'm just going to bump it. Fuck it. And it was the nicest bump I'd taken in ages. I'm like, whee! But, Craven, I will go into war with no matter what. He's just, he's almost like my best friend in wrestling. If I had to pick like the top 5, he's at the top. Followed by Deli Dud Singh, who is his best friend as well too. So, just can't speak highly enough about him.
Yeah,
and seeing seeing the stuff that he said on the What If It's Cool podcast about Roxy, about Kyla, and me as well too, was just it brought me to tears as well. So like, if I'd do absolutely anything for him. So yeah, nicest guy I've ever met.
Yeah, he's one that I'd definitely love to get on the pod because, I actually teamed with him technically in the match that we were in, but I was eliminated within like 2 minutes, so didn't fucking mean anything of it. But to still share with the ring with him meant a lot because I've been a fan of his for years upon years upon years. But, obviously I'm never going to be on the level of you or Craven or anyone else, but he's one that, when I'm eventually cleared again, even if it's just a 2-second squash, I want to be in there and just let me go in there.
I'm nowhere near his level. I am nowhere near his level.
I'll just lay down, take the swanton, 1, 2, 3, just to say that.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the swanton because my first match with him. So our rivalry started when it was 2017. Near the end of the year, I'd been wrestling for 6 months, and they brought him in. He wasn't really as well known in Schwa as what he was with AAW and a couple others here in Perth. But they brought him in, and the plan was for him to put me over. So the way to do that, he gave me the swanton and told me that I was one of the first few to be able to kick out from it. Which back then I was like, oh yeah, cool. But now I think about it, I'm like, that's fucking huge. And then hit him with my Kingsley crash when he tried to go up for it again because I nutted him on the top rope. That was match number 1. Then match number 2, if I remember correctly, was the Schwa Championship. I think. Yes, it was the Schwa Championship where I beat him in that 39 seconds. It was almost a year later to the day. And then 3 months later, we had our match. So I was 3-0 against Craven. I'm like, hell yeah, this guy's never beaten me. This is great. But I'm hoping to make it 3-1 or 4-0. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. There's a few plans in place for me in 2024, which I'll touch on a bit later. But yeah, Craven he's just a fucking man.
Before we move on, because that's actually a good segue to the next question, are any of these matches with you and Craven available on social media or YouTube or anything like that?
So all the Schwa videos, unfortunately, have been put behind a shelf. It was on Pivot Share, but obviously Pivot Share is no more.
Yes, because I inquired about a match between Michelle and Felix the other day, and she said that most of that is just gone poof, and I was like, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I'm going to be truthfully honest, I have a catalogue from 2017 onwards of all of the SHWA shows. Obviously being the EPW editor, who obviously own SHWA, sorry. I have access to all of it. But I'm slowly just working on trying to see if I can get more of that stuff out there because a lot of people don't think that watching matches from yesteryear is what people are really interested in doing, but I feel quite different. I still feel like people will still want to touch on some of those old matches or even see, where guys like the Don, where he started, like Michael only started at EPW, but he was the longest reigning Schwa heavyweight champion in our history. Then there's some classic matches in there, like here's a classic match with Craven, Ascension 10, which, should be on show for everyone to see, but unfortunately at the moment it's just not the case. So my biggest thing as an editor and working with EPW is to try and make sure that everyone gets to see the matches, especially the workers, and then any other matches that come out now through EPW or through their Vimeo. But there is one match that I was allowed to put up that was Schwa content, and that was myself versus Roxy Ryot in the Kitchen Carnage match, which funnily enough was our 1-year anniversary of being together. And she beat the living shit out of me, and I got knocked out. I forgot to duck the fucking fry pan, didn't I? So the sound it made on my head was deafening. Especially for me, because I don't remember 3 minutes of the match. We were supposed to go fucking 15 minutes. We went 22.
Oh shit! So that one is available online to watch. Then that one.
Yeah, that's on YouTube. That's on my I have a side little hustle, little business. I called it Heel Turn Productions.
Oh, yes, yep. So it was your channel that uploaded all the Roxy tribute.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to suss that out
Yeah.
then, because I was going to make the match that we mentioned at the start of the pod the match of the week, but I might even make you versus Roxy the match of the week, seeing as how we already kind of covered the other one. What if
You'll
it's
have
cool,
a good laugh.
But
So the Kitchen Carnage match was around the fact that I was telling Roxy she didn't belong in a ring, she belonged in a kitchen. Because I'd turned on her. We were a team, and then I turned on her and I said, I don't need you anymore. But she kept hanging around, so we had a first big match, and that was it. And yeah, she there was so to give you an idea, there was a pumpkin involved. There were tongs. There was an apron. There was a lunchbox. There was also a carrot, and I won't tell you about the carrot because it still gives me nightmares. But you can imagine where it goes.
I'm just getting.
just imagine me standing there doing the Jushin Liger around the ring.
Oh, fucking hell.
Pretty much.
So basically, it was like a Hell's Kitchen deathmatch because it was kitchen.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, you need to do like a live review of it, because I would just be pissing myself laughing seeing people react to it. It's one of my most fondest memories of her. Obviously, especially considering it was our first big match. It was our 1 year anniversary of being together as a couple. So definitely something that I'll always treasure. And yeah, that one is out there, and then obviously all the every single match from the Roxy Ryot show went out there, and hopefully that's not the last one I do. We'll just have to wait and see on that, because that sent me back a bit of money.
Dude,
it's not cheap putting on your own promotion. Fuck.
Dude, it's not cheap finding a venue in general that even wants wrestling.
Well, I mean, the venue that I used was actually Schwa's old venue for about a month. So I was once I told them it was for charity. Well, once I told them it was for a charity event, they kind of were like, "Oh yeah, cool, no worries, that's sweet. Just don't do this or don't do that." And it was pretty much fine, except for the naked drunk man in the toilets, which I had to deal with, and then him setting off the fucking fire extinguisher down the hallway. That was fun to clean. I didn't have a broom. But I digress.
But yeah, what I might do is I might make that the match of the week. So when this drops, everyone go watch the match. But I might actually wait, and me and Daniel, next time I jump on one of his reaction ones, I'll wait until I've watched it with him, and I'll watch it for the first time with him.
Yeah, 100%. That's what you have to do. Because I swear to God, I will be crying laughing at watching you two lose your shit. Even the booker was just like, oh my God, like that was absolutely perfect, what it needed to be.
But if we can just segue here a little bit, if you don't mind. You mentioned you met Roxy at your first training session, and then that match being your 1 year anniversary. At what point did you and Roxy become friends? Was there like an instant spark there, or were you too scared of her, like you said?
Well, I mean, I was at first, and then when I actually spoke to her, she was as harmless as a fly. She was just so. She was really. She was really, really quiet, really shy. When she got into the ring, as soon as she got out, she would like look for the booker, and he's like, "Was that okay? Was that all right? Did I do good?" Like, she was always double checking to make sure she did the right thing, because she didn't think she was doing any good. And then the booker would be like, "No, that was fucking great." She's like, "Oh, okay, cool." But about 2 months into my training, I mentioned to one of the other trainees that were there that she wasn't too bad. Like, she's kind of cute. And then she decided to blurt it out in front of her. And then I kind of had to man up and go, "Yeah, I'll take you out on a date if you want." And she wasn't used to that, so she didn't expect that to come at all. So then when I was chatting to her, I was like, "Okay, cool. Well, we can catch up for a coffee." She's like, "Yeah, cool. We'll have a coffee. No worries." So we went out. This is 2 weeks before the show, and I'm sitting there drinking my coffee, and then she's eating a muffin, and I go to her, "Oh yeah, so you do realise this is a date, right?" And she spat the muffin all over me. She's like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, this is a date. I like you, so I want to see where it goes. And she's like, okay. Make it back to the car. I sneak a kiss in, and then the rest is kind of history from there. We started dating pretty much just after that. So, and then I met her kids, and she met mine, and yeah, everything was just it just worked out well from there between us. Our exes had made it very, very difficult, though, unfortunately, which still kind of going through a little bit. But at the end of the day, we hit it off from there, and I used to joke to her. I was like, "Hey, we're tagging in the ring and tagging in the bedroom," and she would just be like, "You're a fucking dickhead, shut up." But then after she said that, we get in the car and she's like, "You know, when you said that," I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Yeah, we are." I'm like, "See, why couldn't you do that in front of everyone?" She's like, "Because I'm not a dickhead like you." I'm like, "Okay, fair point." And then we hit it off from there, and her house roof collapsed on her at one point. Yeah, she wasn't. It nearly got me and got one of the kids. Almost destroyed the TV. I was more worried about the TV than the kids. But it collapsed, and because she was in like government housing, because she wasn't working. She was a full-time mum, and she was on her own. So that all collapsed, and I said, "Hey, well, why don't we just move in together?" So we did, and then a few years later, I ruined her booking by making her pregnant. Which is what the booker told me. He's like, "For fuck's sake, you've just ruined everything for her. Now I'm going to have to take her off the shows because she can't wrestle pregnant."
He's just like furiously ripping pages out of the book, like looking at you like, "You motherfucker."
Like the virtual book, because it was all in his mind. But like, she actually wrestled pregnant without knowing, because she was about 4 weeks at the time. And obviously it was tiny as a little freaking like as tiny can be, right? But she wrestled pregnant. And then we got back from the country show that we did, and she's like, "Yeah, so I got some bad news. Well, I've got some news," and she's like, and the book is like, "What?" And like, so Roxy's at the duff, and he's like, "You fucking what?" Well, there goes everything. And you're losing the belt now. Fuck you. And I'm like, "No." But I mean, that was always the plan anyway. But then COVID hit and Schwager sold, and then we stopped wrestling, and we became anonymous for a while. We didn't really have many people to talk to or friends, obviously because everything was shut down. But then when it all kicked off again, I tried to get us involved. She was doing the Instagrams for EPW. Just wasn't the same for her, though, unfortunately. She just didn't feel the vibe that she wanted to feel. Just before she passed, she was actually succeeding in slowly getting the confidence to get back in the ring. She suffered BPD, which is obviously a borderline personality disorder. So it's like the next step after depression and anxiety. She suffered.
It's not a fun time.
Yes, I mean she struggled through all of it, and I mean I'm just always excited and always positive. So to watch her go through her life living like that, I could never really understand it, but I come to learn more and more about it as how I see she'd act with people and stuff like that, and her decision making. But she did that, and we didn't have very many people to talk to, and in January of this year, she finally got the surgery she'd been waiting for about 4 years, because she always had an issue with how she looked and her size. And I said that it didn't matter what size she looked like. It didn't matter to me. And even the bookers were more disappointed that she said she was going to lose the weight, because she's like, "But you're a beast. You're a dominator. Like we need a big girl out there just ripping the dudes to shreds," which is what she'd been doing for 3-4 years prior anyway. Yeah. But she wanted to feel a bit more confident about herself in her own skin. So I was really proud of her as we got back from our Bali trip. She dropped almost 50 kilos in a space of like 6 months, which was huge. And then obviously she got the pneumococcal meningitis that took her life, so which happened really fast over like a 3-4 day period. 4-5 day period. I won't speak too much on that, just purely because there's some litigation at the moment that I'm working through in regards to some things. there's some wrongdoings that I feel that had happened that could have prevented her death. But
no, that's okay. That's okay.
But yeah, just yeah, she was the best thing that ever happened to me. Without getting too emotional, she turned me into the person I wanted to be and be a better father for the kids and a better person. I mean, I have a massive head. I have a huge ego. I get called Mark everywhere I go backstage. I make some noise and I'm like, oh, it's the fucking Mark. Yeah, she just made me better. And without her here now, like this is why I'm trying to focus on getting back into wrestling, because that was our plan, was to come back as a team, come back, as you would have seen in the video at the end of the show, talking about, I literally was just talking about coming back into the ring together. That was our plan. We were going to be known as Parabellum, obviously
nice.
Meaning prepare for war, because we just wanted to come back in and be these two big, strong, beasts and just wrecking the tag team division. And trying to bring her back into that sort of fold of where she felt comfortable again. Because she would have never admitted it, but she loved it a bit. She absolutely loved wrestling. She was just way too shy and too proud to speak out about it. She'd always keep shit to herself. So, yeah, Kyla was phenomenal. And I'm so grateful that she was able to touch people that she never knew that she was able to reach out to. I don't know the full extent of how far the news of her passing went, but being told that it went countrywide was just it was really somber, and it brought me a lot of sadness, but a lot of joy at the same time.
Very, very bittersweet.
Yeah, very, very bittersweet. And I just wish she would have been able to have seen how much of an impact she left, because she literally did break down the barriers of what women in wrestling can and can't do. She didn't want to be a chick on the side. She didn't want to be wrestling the girls all the time. Not that was a bad thing, but she just wanted to be known as a wrestler, not a woman's wrestler, or not a valet. It was just like, no, I'm going to throw in there with the dudes, and I can give it just as much as I can take. So she broke that barrier down, and intergender wrestling to her was massive. And I fully am strongly in support of intergender wrestling, because that's what we are. We are wrestlers. I know, domestic violence and all that sort of stuff is a very serious thing, and that can come into it. But it also depends on how it's executed, who the people are executing it as well. So, I mean, you can tell a story without being, bringing that sort of stuff into it. So I still feel like intergender wrestling has a big place in wrestling as a whole. So, and that's what she stood for. So, yeah, she's just one of a kind, and she'll never be replaced. So, rest in peace, my love.
Yeah, well, as I said on the match that we did review, and I do thank you for sharing that. I don't want to get you too emotional. I do apologize for putting you on the spot.
No, it's fine. I've gotten to a point. I've gotten to a point now where I'm able to talk about her without getting really upset. Like from this recording in 2 days' time, it'll be 4 months since she passed away. I'll never get over it, and I'll never not love her. But being able to still, like, I've had lots of interviews and people talking to me about her, and it's come kind of like second nature now to just be able to talk about it without getting too emotional. So to that sort of side of things, I just want to tell her story, the story that she was too afraid to tell herself, the story that I could see. So yeah. Whew. Oh, and now my son's here. I told you he was coming.
That's all good, man.
Okay, hang on 2 seconds.
You're all good, man.
Okay, cool. They're gone.
It's all good. I can just tune that
Cut that out.
But no, like I'm the same. Like, obviously it's a little bit different, but with my dad, I'm the exact same. For me, wrestling is the only thing we kind of bonded over. And like, for me, it's like, it's weird, like talking about it, like, kind of helps. So I'm just like, I know people deal with stuff differently, but yeah, I do thank you for sharing that. But you talk about these matches, obviously with Roxy, you talk about these matches with Craven. What are some of your favorite matches of all time, both that you have had and, if we can be a mark, that you have seen, whether it's on TV, live, whatever. Like, just let's mark out here.
My biggest mark out moment was Hogan Rock.
That's a good
I was sitting on my couch, WrestleMania 18. I was sitting there. I paid $50 to watch it on main event, and I'm just literally losing my fucking mind watching Hogan and The Rock, and they haven't even touched yet. The crowd is just
alone,
nuts.
just that like 30-second clip of the face-off alone is fucking immortalized.
Like, I had goosebumps on goosebumps. Like, I was like, I never thought I'd ever see this. This is amazing. So with that, like, that's my biggest mark out moment in regards to my favorite match. The match itself wasn't, overly spectacular, but just like moments, stuff like that was really cool. CM Punk's return at AEW was pretty awesome. Obviously now it's, not something people talk about fondly with how he went, but yeah. But at the same token, like, just seeing him back in the ring and just seeing the crowd react was just huge. Seeing Grayson Waller in WWE, I really love seeing every time he's on there. I'll touch on so 2019. This leads into my other favorite match actually that I had. Western Pro Wrestling was founded out of AAW. Once AAW collapsed or was sold, and then kind of rushed under the table, Western Pro Wrestling was born. Who the same company was owned by Schwa, and basically we decided that we were going to put on an adults only show, so kind of like Black Label almost. But it was, a little bit more uncensored, uncut, unreal sort of thing. So we literally called it WPW Uncensored. And then I got a call that we're going to put you in a match and you're going to wrestle Slate. I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay. I love Slate. Slate is one of my favorite guys as well, too. I have so much respect for him, so much love and admiration for him. It's still really super awkward to talk to, but that's just him. I don't have that same friendship as much as I'd like, but I still respect the guy tenfold. So I got called in and I was wrestling. I was Schwa champion at the time, and I got called in to wrestle a match. And the story was that his opponent that he was feuding with at the time wasn't available, so I had to fill in. So we had a no DQ match. That night, I split my head open from a Donkey Kong trash can that I didn't put my hands up in time for. So it was a nice little gash down my front that opened up like you can imagine. But I just wrestled it out. I wasn't bleeding like really much. And then it led into I beat him. I was the only person in Uncensored to beat him at that point. Because I had the guy who was in the rivalry with come out and lay him out. Then I laid him out, and I got the 1-2-3 victory. Once he was finished with that feud, he wanted vengeance on his only loss, and that was me. So I was ducked him for a little bit. I think I played a promo at one of the shows that I wasn't there, saying I'll see him soon. Then he had a match when we had Grayson Waller over. It was him. Slate versus Matty Wahlberg at the time. And then right at the end of the match, I snuck out and helped Waller get the victory. And then I laid him out afterwards, and Waller's in the ring pretending to be the ref and counted 1, 2, 3. And I got a nice little photo with me and him raising my hand up, and I'm standing over Slate, which was cool.
Fuck yes.
So that's a moment I'll always carry as one of my favourite parts. Especially now where he is. And then it leads to my second favourite match, which was my last match I officially had before last week. I wrestled Slate in a Seasons Beatings match. It was Christmas. It was a Christmas show. And I can link you the footage. I'm happy to link you the footage of that match as well. It's not on YouTube or anything like that, but I do have a copy of it that I'm happy to provide. And yeah, basically, it literally was Christmas themed. So Christmas weapons, it was an absolute cracker of a match. Like the staple gun came out of a teddy bear. The thumbtacks, like I pop-up power bombed him onto a bit of thumbtacks. We had the barbed wire board that we both went through. I dumped him on a chair heavily wrapped in barbed wire. So he was cut to pieces on his back. And as I've gone to cover him, I've sliced the bottom of my hand on one of the barbed wire, and then I've gone, ow, 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 and he just sitting there going, dude, I'm fucking bleeding everywhere. Shut up. So yeah,
Fuck yes.
that was cool. It was just a lot of fun. So that would be my second favorite match. And cut, because I have another child here. Yes. All right, where were we? Let's get back.
We're back. So following on from that, we're talking about favorite matches. We'll move on to that. This actually has multiple layers, because usually I just mark out and say who's your ultimate opponent and ultimate stipulation, yada yada yada. But obviously, beyond that, you're about to make a comeback, or actually have made a comeback, because you just had your first singles match, I think last week as we record this. So unofficially. But who is your ultimate dream match, and what would the stipulation be? It can be anyone, past, present, future, whatever. And then, are there anyone specifically, do you have a list of people that you're actually wanting to wrestle on this comeback tour, dare I say?
Well, so there's two wrestlers that I absolutely love to bits in the WWE. One of them being Seth Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
I have a autographed signature from him. My mate went to WrestleMania 26, I think. Which one was the match where Shane fell off the Hell in a Cell?
WrestleMania was either 31 or 32. I think it was 32.
32 then, yeah. It's not 26. 32, right? He went there. He went to Access. He met Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins, for my birthday, he actually wrote out, "Happy birthday, Kingsley. Hope you have a great day, Seth Rollins." And so I marked out and cried when I saw that, because he was just from beginning right through Shield, right through the breaking away, all of that, in becoming the architect. Like, he is just the fucking man. I love Seth Rollins. But the other one that I love the most as well too is someone that I used to get called this person when I started wrestling, because I had short hair, not the length that I have now. It's taken me 4 years to grow this fucking thing out. But I kind of looked like him. I was wearing shirts. I had a bit of a gut, and I would use his cannonball, that being Kevin Owens, or Kevin Steen. So I'd get called Owens all the time, or Steen, or whatever. I'd just love to just fucking throw fists with him, or just be in the ring with him in general. Definitely one of like my ultimate dreams that will never happen. But if I'm thinking, I have a list of people. Like every year, I write out a little list of people that I want to wrestle. So if I start in WA, because it's like I said, it's quite a lengthy list, and I've been away for 4 years. So yes, I did have I had an unofficial match last week against a guy. I'm just going to call him Kratos because his first name is horrible, and I'm the one that gave it to him. Actually, no. Quickly, funny story. He didn't have he didn't have a proper name yet. So I'm like, here, how about you use this? And then the commentators told me before the show of what it actually meant, and they just made jokes of it all night. So he was known as Hyman Kratos. So just the Hyman jokes just came out left, right, and center. I'm like, oh god, what have I done?
Oh Jesus!
But yeah, like when I cut him off and gave him my Blue Thunder bomb, he literally was like, just before it happened, the commentator's like, oh god, I just hope, I hope Hyman doesn't break here, and just shit like that. I'm like, oh for fuck's sake.
It looked mad, by the way. I saw the clip you posted it on your story. I was just like, yeah. Fuck yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was a heavier bloke. I like doing it to guys like Ryan Allen. Ryan Allen could take it like a champ, and I could spin full 360 as well as spinning him in the air at the same time. I love doing the big old twist with it, so it looks more special. But so yeah, unofficially, I was back because it was a trainee show, so it wasn't open
like
to the general
house show kind of thing, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. We want to have more wrestling over here in WA, and unfortunately, at this point in time, there was a big gap between main EPW shows and showcases. So some of the wrestlers decided to take it upon themselves to put on a trainee show for the guys that have never wrestled a match before, and Kratos was one of them. I've known him for years though, because I trained with him back at Schwa, and he wears hearing aids, so he's really deaf. But I was able to work the match with him without his hearing aids, and everything else went pretty fine. So I actually hit Roxy's finisher after the matches as well too, the old gunslinger, or the Forever Roxy as I call it now. I told her that I'd steal that from her because it looks sick. She used to call that the drop a slut because she'd literally just drop a slut with it.
You could always even call it the Panabellum, like you were saying, to still use the name for the team.
I could, but drop a slut or Forever Roxy just has a better ring to it. Drop a slut. I do love the old drop a slut.
Fuck yes.
Because she just hit it on the girls, and then she hit it on the guys. I'm like, yeah, you're all sluts. But yeah, going back to like wrestling in WA, start off with people that I haven't wrestled. So Julio Garcia is one of them. I'd love to wrestle Solomon Blackwell. He's a great guy, and he's definitely up and coming here in WA. I know he's made his mark in Queensland, and I saw he just got announced for Renegades of Wrestling to wrestle Lockie Hendricks, which is really cool.
Saw that this morning, actually, or this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm really, really psyched for him. So it's a great opportunity for him. I'd love to wrestle him. I've got another guy named Chris Kelly that I want to wrestle, who's just kind of started out. He's a big jacked up meathead, but I love him a bit. Who else? Robbie Hart is another one, who just made the move over from South Australia back to WA. So he's here. He's here now permanently, which is cool. I'd love to work with him. Layla Devine has made a huge impact already so far with coming out and wrestling now. So she's someone I'd love to share the ring with, even though I know I've been told she's quite stiff, which is good. I love wrestling stiff a little bit, because then if it's not stiff enough, then it doesn't look real. And we want to kind of protect that as much as we can.
I'm the same. I'm like, don't knock my fucking teeth out, but like, I've got to feel it to kind of,
Give me some connection. Give me some connection where I go, oh, hello, I'm awake now. Okay, cool, let's do this. I'm going to give it back to you. Let's play. But then I think about so obviously I'm really excited this November. I'm making my interstate debut, which is something that Kyla and I really wanted to do together. I'm wrestling for MXW, which is huge. So I'm in their Rumble, and there's a couple other things I believe that are in the works as well, which I won't reveal yet, for MXW. So I'm really excited. I met Kid Valiant. Well, I haven't met him in person, but I've spoken to him through Rochelle Rogue, who I had over here for the Roxy show. I love Rochelle. She's fantastic.
Yes.
And Valiant's pretty cool. I feel like we can get along really well. I'd love to wrestle him. And then I have a really, really, really big wrestling chubby for Bobby Bishop.
Yes.
I just love everything.
Yes.
I love everything that he does. And like a dream match, if she was still here, I'd love to have me and Roxy versus Bishop and Brawl. That just would have been fucking awesome. So Bobby Bishop is definitely right up there. Then Kingsley as well, sharing the ring with her. I'd love to work with Delta. I'd love to work with Matt Hayter. Even like guys like Redshaw. E-Man the Kid. Or sorry, not E-Man the Kid anymore. Just some of those guys that are still, only just touching the surface of what they can really do. They would all push me to my fucking limits because I'm still so out of shape. But it's a dream match, so I can get away with it for now. There's someone else. I mean, Brooksy's a pipe dream. I've met him once, the old mate from Dingley, or the Ledge. I still have one of his shirts actually, Loose Ledge. But yeah, I'm hopefully going to see him soon and have a chat and say good day. Ricky South is another big one as well. He came over to Perth and he did a little seminar here, and it was just really, really cool to see how he moves and how he does things, and he just gets it. He's fucking phenomenal. I really want to get over to PWA. I really want to get over to QWA, Trent O'Day up in Queensland. I'd really like to throw down with him. And then I've got obviously PWA, RCW and ACW as well. I'd really like to work for both of them. Obviously MXW in Melbourne is cool. MCW is probably the pinnacle, but I know there are plenty out there. PCW as well is something like their setup is fucking phenomenal down at the SWEC. So I'd love to be a part of that atmosphere. I've just got so many ambitions and so many things that I want to do and so many things. Oh, there is one guy that I haven't wrestled that would be a big hoss match. Me and Taylor King. That would be fucking great. I'd love to share the ring with him. I shared one training session with him, and we just had a laugh because we both love Liverpool. He loves it more than I do, but just to throw down with him would be really, really cool. There's a lot of up and comers. There's a lot of vets. There's just so many good wrestlers here in Australia, and there's just not enough to fill a list of people I'd like to get in the ring with. I mean, Tuckman, great gimmick. I love that. I'd love to do stuff with him. Even Will Keedis, Lita Cross, Matt Diamond. Just there's so fucking many. It's just too hard to kind of put it all in a little fucking list and go, who do I really want to wrestle out of all? No, I want to wrestle all of them. I want to learn from all of them. Because that's the whole experience about wrestling someone that you've never met before. Is you'll learn how they move. You'll learn different aspects of what they do, and they can teach you things. And then maybe I can teach them something. I've been wrestling for 4 years, but over a course of 7, because obviously I started in 2017 and had that break. But I still feel like I get wrestling really, really well, especially considering how much I'm editing at the moment. I watch wrestling, indie wrestling all the time, and it's just mainly PW. But I understand stories, I understand things, which is why I'm really excited for the future. And not just myself. I'm all about making sure everyone learns and everyone gets better and everyone just wrestles. I'm in the works of currently working with Southern Territory Wrestling, and they've been great so far. I've been filming for them for the last few shows, which is great, and I really love being behind the camera and capturing the action, especially considering I watched it I like to film I'm filming for TV, not just a live wrestling show that people buy tickets for. I like to think that wrestling, if the people can't make it, then we need to put it out onto a social aspect so people can watch it and then make you feel like you're really there. So I like to get up close and not too personal, but STW have been really, really great. Andrew the Shark Carter's been huge and very, very supportive. So all I'm going to say about that is that 2024 will be some very, very interesting things that happen. And who knows, I might end up getting the chance to wrestle for EPW and make a bigger name for myself, and then work with some of these amazing talents that we have over here in this fishbowl we call Perth, which I'm sure you're all jealous about that we have Elimination Chamber.
Yes, I've already seen people complaining about how expensive the prices to Perth are.
Now you know how we feel.
This is why so many people from Perth struggle to get interstate bookings, because it's fucking expensive.
Yeah, I mean, I've got dates for next year through some companies in Queensland and some companies in South Australia, right? Because I really want. I'm a footy buff, so I'm a mad Port Adelaide supporter.
Okay,
I know Bronson Reed.
They're my second AFL team, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I know Bronson Reed is a mad supporter, so that might, I like him even more. But just I want to get to South Australia. I used to live in South Australia when I was a wee lad. I was only there for 2 years, from 4 to 6, but like I want to get there. And Izzy Shaw is one of my really good friends, and she absolutely loved wrestling Roxy a lot whenever she'd come over. But I've got these dates and everything set up, that I know of. But I go look at flights. I'm like, it's like $500 each time. I'm just like, I can't afford that with raising 5 kids. It's crazy. Thank you, Jetstar, for the afterpay, though. So I managed to be able to afford this flight to Melbourne. But, I'm just hoping that there are other opportunities that come out there and people can see that I can still work and I can still do things. And I'm only going to improve and get better. I'm training with EPW, so I'm trying to get to as many sessions as I can as a father of 5 is able to do, and manage that work-life balance. Because I feel like I can do this until my body decides it doesn't want to do it anymore. If I can, I'd like to still be involved when I'm 50. Like I still want to be able to be doing all this sort of things and getting in there and just living my dreams. Like winning the Shua Heavyweight Championship was a dream, and I didn't think it would ever happen. And then to have that for 9 months was the biggest ego trip, but the best feeling I've ever had in wrestling. So to be able to maybe, if I'm lucky enough one day to win another championship, that'd just be awesome. But the biggest thing for me is just to wrestle as many people as I can, make wrestling great again, and get noticed for not just me, but for everyone over here. Because as much as I love the people that are getting those opportunities over east, guys like Mikey Nichols and Shane Haste are like the messiahs for us over here, because they were able to break the mold of Perth and get out and go do that, and they're still making big names of themselves. So, I trip out when Mikey comes home and he's wrestling, and I have a chat to him, and I'm just like, nicest guy in the bloody world. And I try and leech off him and just like learn things. We're so blessed over here in Perth to have Damien Slater take training and give tips and take classes and do all that sort of stuff. It's just like all the up and comers that are coming and that are learning, and if any of them are listening to this right now, it is such a tree of wisdom, and everyone needs to be hanging off it and take as much as they can, because we're only all going to get better as we go forward, especially when we're working together. So my plan is to make Perth wrestling as a whole great, which is obviously what I did with the Roxy show, when I had all 4 companies represented in some way, shape or form for the first time ever, which was huge, because not many companies over here of the 4 that we have generally work together at all. So to be able to have that was really huge, and that's kind of the goal I want to be able to do. If one company is doing good, then I hope the other company is doing good, and then it works for Perth Wrestling, and that's just what I want overall.
Absolutely. I always say that, like, I get, people, they've got their fans, and look, you want to make money or whatever else if you're the one behind it, but to me, I'm like, if the fans are winning, wrestling's winning. Like, it's just, I don't know why you have to have all the political.
A lot of guys I know that will go out there and they're doing their match or their match planning, and they're like, oh, this move will look cool, or I'll look cool doing this move, and like, oh yeah, this will pop the boys backstage if I do this. I'm like, guys, the biggest thing that you've got to do at the end of the day, and I learned this from Damien Slater as well too, is the fact that you've got to put yourself at the bottom, then you put your match, then you put your opponent, then your match, then the story, and then the show, and then the fans. The fans are the most important part. As long as you put the fans on top, then you're doing the right thing, and then you can learn and develop better. And it finally clicked to me when I allowed people to call me the Bullfrog, because then I was getting the responses that the bookers wanted, and it was getting the fans involved, and then it was just like, oh, okay, I get it now. Yep, no, we're going to do this, and that's the biggest thing. It's not about how good you can work. I don't care if you're the biggest, fattest slob in the world and you can pull off, a 720 fucking Canadian destroyer or whatever. Like, I don't care. As long as you can connect with those fans, as long as you can give them something to love or something to hate, that is the most pivotal part of what wrestling is. Because without them, we're fucked.
But before we go into the last question, which is always a non-wrestling question, because I like to end it on a fun fact. Selfishly,
Yep.
you mentioned, you took a 4-year hiatus from wrestling. I originally went from being told that I'd never wrestle again to I can wrestle. It's just a long fucking road of recovery because I've got stitches in my eye and it's a whole thing. I don't want to tell the story on this pod for the fucking thousandth time. But by the time I get back in the ring, it's going to be round about 4 years for me. So just selfishly, what advice would you have for me? And also, this could work for rookies up and coming as well, but being away from the ring for so long, is there any tips and tricks that you have? Because I'm shitting myself just at the thought of it. I've been binge watching Tough Enough lately, and I want to fucking be able to just roll and bump and even just the basic little shit. But I'm like, the thought of just hitting the ropes after such a long time, I'm already fucking dreading it.
So the biggest thing I would say is what I've learned over this period of time. I've learned that I am extremely impatient. I like things now. I like to do it when I want to do it and I need to. But I've had to learn patience is a virtue, and the cliche is literal because being patient it reverts to being safe. Anyone can work in the ring. Anyone can learn how to bump. Anyone can learn how to do a move. As long as it's executed safely, and as long as you're patient with it in learning the move and then honing it and crafting it, everything else will come. My biggest fear, and I said this to another trainee the other day who was just starting out, and he came to me and was like, I am completely shitting myself. This is my first match. I don't know what to do. The moves are fine, but I'm just worried about being in front of a crowd. And I said to him, look, you're a face. All you need to do is to go out there and put a smile on your face. High five, kiss a few babies, whatever. Do whatever you want to do that you feel that you're happy. Because if they see you happy, then that means they're going to be happy. And then they'll root for you when you're getting beaten down by the heel. So at the end of the day, the biggest thing I'd say is just be patient. Just let things come to you. Don't worry about what's going to happen in the future because the future is too far away. Focus on the now. Focus on what you can control. Don't focus on what's out of your control because that'll just send you down a very bad road of resentment and regret. I regret not being back for those 4 years. We had every opportunity to come back. And I mean, there was a point in my time where I started to resent Roxy because she didn't feel the same way I did. But then I learned the fact that everyone's different. Everyone has their own mental battles. And being a wrestler, if you don't have a mental condition, then you can't wrestle. Because most of the people I know who are wrestlers have some form of mental capacity where they're struggling. So wrestling is their outlet. Wrestling is their way to break free from all of that, and it's a good environment to be able to become something else or be someone else, and not have those sort of mental struggles that you deal with. My biggest fear, and I still have it now, I felt it last night as well, is going through the training drills. I'd say probably the day Roxy passed, it was hell, right? Obviously, I just lost my fiance. We just set a date to when we were going to get married. We'd just come back from a phenomenal trip, her first time ever leaving the country. It was great. But then she passed, and I was dark in despair. My dad actually said to me the day that she passed at the hospital that as much as this is painful, as much as it hurts, the children are the most important thing. But because of that, you need to look after yourself. So the biggest thing that I'll say to you now, son, is if your cup isn't full, you cannot fill anyone else's cup. And that resonated with me to a point where I turned it into wrestling. I'm like, cool. I love wrestling. Wrestling is who I am. Wrestling is what I live and breathe. And I love it so much that I can break away from all of my problems, all my issues, and then I feel so much better about myself for getting in and trying. And even though I'll fail, if I don't learn to fail, I'll never succeed. I know I'm coming in with all the cliches right now, but it is facts. So that night, after she passed in the morning, I had my family at home, and I said, look, I just need to get away. I just need some time to myself. So I went to a training class, and I walked in, and I had all the people cuddling and upset and crying and everything else. I said, look, I appreciate everything, but I really want to try and focus on just getting in there and just throwing around with everyone and trying to have a good time. It was one of the hardest things I ever had to do because obviously trying not to focus about what had just happened. The biggest thing I was scared of was cardio and the warm-up. The warm-up will always scare me because I hate sit-downs and fucking push-ups and fucking all the shit that comes with warming up. I hated it with a passion because I'd die halfway through. But after then, and after I felt good about it, I joined up with Marcus Pitt and his Progress 365 program. And I'm now on a nutritional and fitness regime where within the first 5 weeks that I've started it, I've managed to lose 5 kilos from it. And the training session last night that I did, I made it through the cardio and the whole session unscathed and feeling like it could still go. So I'm looking after myself, and that's the biggest thing I'd say to anyone is that if you're having issues, look after yourself. If that may be like me and getting into the ring and having everything there and having that break, then do that. Patience is a virtue. It will come. You've got a long career ahead of you if you're like 19, 20, 21 years of age and you're just starting out in your career. I started when I was 30. I feel like time's passing me by. Like I'm 4 years from 40 sort of thing. And I'm just like, Jesus, like I feel like I've missed out on so much. But I truly haven't because I've managed to make sure that I found a way to still be involved. I found a way to support everyone I possibly can and cheer on the people. And it's made me feel like I've been a part of it. So then it's made it easier for me. So my biggest thing, and especially for yourself, like I was saying, it could be 4 years before you make it back. I wrestled. I was supposed to wrestle another guy at this trainee show, and I set up a character for him. I did a promo with him. Everything was great, and he was man enough to say, "I'm not ready." He was man enough to come out and say, "I'm going to have to pull out. I'm really, really scared. I do not feel like my wrestling execution will do us any justice, and I need to pull out." And I was gobsmacked because at first I was a little annoyed because I'm like, I've just put all this work into you, and now you're pulling out. What the fuck? But then I had to take a step back and try and step into his shoes for 5 minutes, and I realised how admirable something like that was, and it meant a lot to me to for safety reasons, but also for like mental health and well-being. Being able to do that and put the show before everything else was huge, and that's what he wanted to do. So I supported him tenfold in that. In a roundabout way, all I'm really trying to say is that patience is probably the most pivotal thing, as well as that will to really never give up. As much as it may scare you, I still get butterflies every time I step out of that curtain. I still shit myself when I'm standing across from my opponent and I'm going, fuck, am I going to remember everything that we've planned? Holy shit, what if something goes wrong? I start getting into that mode, but then I'm like, no, let's just go take it a step at a time. Patience. As long as we get to A to B to C to D, everything will be fine. And if we get off track and we have to jump C and go to D, then go back to C, then as long as we're talking and working together, everything will be fine. So yeah, that's where I'm at mentally right now, is just to make sure I keep going, I keep doing the right thing by myself, to do the right thing by my kids. I mean, some of them are old enough now to come to the shows and they absolutely love it. So I'm hoping to be a good representation for them, whether I'm a heel or a face, it doesn't matter. Anyone that steps into that ring has my respect. Anyone that takes upon that role of playing your character and putting on a show for the people that have paid their hard-earned money to attend to deserves all the credit in the world, because it is a very hard thing to step into that ring. It's not an easy thing to do, especially when you're fresh and you're starting out, or when you've had a long absence. there was a part of me that felt like it was just like riding a bike, which it kind of was. But there's still moments where I'm like, shit, I got to remember to do this, I got to remember to do that, and I'm hard on myself. But as long as I'm patient, everything will be okay.
I appreciate that. I think that's life lessons for whoever listens to this, to be honest.
Hey, I'll be spruiking it out.
But I always...
I'll be like, hey, motherfuckers, go listen to this. I talk for too long, like I always do.
That's why I started a podcast. I think my wife was sick of fucking hearing it. She says it's fine, but deep down, I know there's part of it where she's just probably like...
And see, I'll just pick on you on something for there, because I really... that. The Muttley fucking laugh. I love it!
The amount of times that I've gotten that during my life. The Muttley laugh.
Oh, man, it's so cool. I fucking love it. Need more people like that. Just to sit there and laugh and have fun. Life is way too fucking short and way too fucking brittle to just let everything pass you by and to worry about what everyone else fucking thinks of you. Just do what makes you feel good and you know, fucking live. Which is why I reached out and I booked to try and get to MXW, and like I'm just like I need to do this, otherwise I'm going to sit back and regret it and going, well, I'm too time's passed me by. I've just got to live every day like it's my last, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Life permitting, I'll actually be travelling to that show for the Rumble, so I'm hopefully actually meet you in person and have a laugh in.
Hey, we can do a podcast live on TV. It's all good. I'm happy to talk to anyone, man. Like, you are some of the wrestlers here that I get along with, because I mean there are some that I don't. But we won't talk on them. But most of the gang, they will say that I'm the nicest. I'm one of the nicest guys in wrestling, because I will literally talk to anyone. I will try and make conversation. I will be invested in what they're talking to me and telling them, and appreciating what they're talking to me. Like every conversation that I have with people, I almost finish it now with "Thank you, I appreciate you," because hearing that is like, I want people to say that I appreciate that I'm appreciated when I talk to people, because it goes a long way for self-confidence and stuff, and you feel valid that that person has actually listened to you. So, I try and give my time to everyone that wants to hear it. I make a dick of myself, don't get me wrong. I love being the absolute class idiot, but that's just my goofy, stupid nature. And I didn't know if I was going to say this story or not. This is outside of wrestling. So I'll tell you a story about something outside of wrestling. I have a group of friends, and way back when I was dating this girl, and she, it wasn't very long. We were together maybe a couple of weeks. It wasn't really serious or anything like that. But we broke up, and then within 2 weeks, my mate decided he'd shack up. So he started dating her. So the gag going around our group was that he was a girlfriend stealer. He'd steal my girlfriend, and it was just me. It only happened once, but it was infamous. The day after Roxy passed, everyone came over to check up on me, on my friend group outside of wrestling. They came and they checked on me to make sure I was okay, and obviously I was a bit of a wreck. And then I was talking about her, I was in tears, and then it kind of all went a little silent. And then I saw him from across the room, and this is where it gets a bit morbidly funny. I just looked at him dead in the eye and I said, "Hey, at least you can't steal this girlfriend." And everyone absolutely fucking lost it. I'm sitting there crying and laughing. I'm just making a horrible, morbid joke about my lovely fiance that's just passed, and then ripping, going, "Hey, you can't steal her. She's dead." I'm like, "Oh, fuck." I said, "I'm so sorry about my morbid humour. This is what is getting me through." But that's the type of person I am. I will just make dick, fun, stupid, or inappropriate jokes about myself to make others laugh. And, yeah, I kind of regret it a little bit, but not so much.
So, as we wind down here, Jeremiah, before we get into all the plugs and stuff, I always end this with a non-wrestling question. I try my best to tailor it to the individual as much as possible, but obviously I don't really know much about you other than wrestling. So I just went to the second thing that gets me through outside of wrestling, and that's music. What is your all-time favorite music album? As a little fun fact before we jump into the plugs.
Ooh, see, I don't have a favorite album. Like, I listen to all music I can, except for country. Country sucks.
I'll just be over here.
I'm a heavy metal buff. Like, I love my heavy metal. So, like, Disturbed was my go-to band originally. Like with The Sickness, and then Believe when that came out, I was all over it. 10,000 Fists, all of that sort of stuff. So, like, Metallica, obviously, sort of like mainstream sort of heavy metal was my go-to. But nowadays, so my theme song was Come and Get It by I Prevail. So nice. I love a lot of I Prevail. So my theme song would literally, like, the music would start and then you'd hear me going, the future is here. And it drops straight into the beat. I was the only one that actually had my voice in the music, which was cool. So I love I Prevail. I was going to use Long Live the King as my next song, but I decided against it. Because I now use Avenged Sevenfold's Nobody. But the other band that is smashed through my Spotify right now is Falling in Reverse. And not just because of who the guy is dating. Even though Saraya is great, and that song, I was listening to it before she started using it, is great. I'm massive over on Watch the World Burn right now. I love their revamped versions of I'm Not a Vampire, and what they recently did revamped, which was I forget it off the top of my head now. Last Resort, that's it. I did a revamped version of that, which was really cool. I just smash a lot of that stuff out. So I Prevail and Falling in Reverse are definitely my go-tos. But then I'll flip it over and I'll just listen to a full 90s playlist and sit there fucking belting out, Backstreet Boys are just rocking out to It's Gonna Be Me. Like, I'm all over the place. I like to think I can sing well, but, some people tell me I can, but I'm a goofball.
I dig that. Like, legit, I put my Spotify list on fucking shuffle, and like I'm everything plus country. It literally one day went from Slipknot to Shania Twain to fucking Britney Spears or some shit, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
Well, the other ones I smashed out was Slipknot's All Hope Is Gone album. I really enjoyed that, but the song Unsainted was belted several times. I think it was my number one from last year when they did the old Spotify stuff. And then I went through my fucking Receiptify the other day, and I'm looking at all these heavy metal songs that come out, and all of a sudden fucking Baby Shark comes on. I'm like, fuck, I forgot I'm a parent. I play that several times.
I've got a couple friends that are like that. It's like, oh, here's this, and then it's like the Wiggles, and then my song, and he's just like, ignore that.
Yeah, that's not me. And then I get looked at going, no, are you sure? I swear it's you. I'm just like, Baby Shark, do that way. All right?
Although the metal version that that Leo did, the Italian fellow.
Oh yeah, Leo is great. I love Leo. I love listening to all his stuff, and Jonathan Young as well too is fucking great.
Yes, him and fucking Caleb.
Especially Be Prepared is one of my favorites.
Oh, yes, I like Peyton Parrish as well, the Viking fellow as well. Yeah,
Peyton Parrish is great. There's another song that I've been listening to right now that I'm really digging. And that is from a band called Rising Insane, and they did a cover version of of Physical by Dua Lipa. It's fucking great. Absolutely love it. There's just heaps and heaps and heaps. I mean, Slipknot was fucking great because as soon as NXT came out with the theme song and it was just one of theirs, I just started thrashing the fuck out of it constantly.
But we'll start wrapping this up now because I feel like I've taken way too much of your time. I do apologize.
Nah, fuck the kids. Who cares? They can go to sleep on their own. I don't need to parent them for the rest of my life.
But what have you got coming up, man? Like in terms of bookings, have you got any near future bookings outside of the one coming up interstate or?
At the moment, it's only interstate. I will say I have plans in place already for 2024. I won't say where, I won't say how, I won't say exactly when. I know exactly what's going to happen, but I don't want to reveal the surprises.
You can always get you back on once all that stuff's been pen to paper and put on socials and just pump it out.
I look forward to it because the story that's been pitched to me, that I actually pitched it first, and they've latched onto a particular thing. And, it kind of crosses the line a little bit between, wrestling and reality. There's some aspects in that should happen, hopefully. But I can't wait to talk about the ride that it's been so far with the story planning of what I've got going and what I've got happening. 2024 will be my official comeback. I will say that, though. I will definitely be wrestling on a more regular basis. If I do get the opportunity to work elsewhere, I'd love to. For anyone that would have me, I don't care who, I don't care where, I don't care when. I've got a babysitter now, so I can literally just book a flight and fly over.
If anyone's a psychic, can you hit
all they can pay, they should pay. They should pay. I'm broke. Help me. I just want to work. I just want to wrestle. I just want to have fun, and I want to create a life that I feel like I deserve. So then I can tell my kids that when they're older, so the reason my dad did that was because, my dream was always to be a wrestler and to wrestle anywhere and everywhere I can, and I got to live that. So if I can impart any sort of knowledge upon that, is that go live your dreams and don't let it pass you by because you'll regret it.
Absolutely. If anyone's a psychic and they've got the lotto numbers, let me know so I can fly Jeremiah over here. But,
man, 100%. I buy lotto tickets every week. I'm negative 28,000, I reckon. No, fucking, I'm horrible with money, but that's another story. My biggest ones, obviously, and if anyone is listening, my biggest ones, obviously, I really want to work with QWA. I'd love to work with ACW. I'm super excited to work with MXW. I like to work with the lesser known companies. And I mean, QWA are starting to really catch fire now, and they're doing some really great things there. So even Wide Bay, I'd love to go over. Craven talks about it tremendously. I'd love to meet Todd Eastman and just talk wrestling with him. I've spoken to him a couple of times on the Twitch stream with fucking making chicken salad. So like I listen to them. Piers Morgan as well too. Like not Piers, Piers Austin. Fuck, I always get that confused. Piers Austin.
Piers Austin is an old Englishman.
Like I've been on his show, and I look forward to maybe actually meeting him, and there's just so much to do in so little time. So like if I get the opportunities to meet people and work with people, then that's great. I mean, we've got WSW coming over here next week, and that's going to be fucking great. I'm potentially going to be working backstage with WSW when they're here in Perth, or at least setting up and helping out and meeting all the talent at least that are over here, and that's just going to be a cool experience in itself.
Definitely worth dipping your toes in at least. You never know, Even if nothing comes 100%. Out of it, it's still going to be one hell of an experience.
100%. So, like I said, life's too short. I'm not just going to sit there and wait for it to pass me by. I'm going to take the balls by the horns and just give it everything. And sometimes I might fall flat on my face, but that's okay. You've got to learn to fail before you succeed. So that's it.
But before we wrap up, where can we find you on social media? And do you have anywhere that people can buy merch or etc.? The floor is yours for however long you want to plug your things.
Well, I do. Yeah, I do have some merch, but I haven't really. When wrestler merch went under, it was kind of hard to kind of advertise anything else. So, I mean, it's generally my local sort of stuff that I have. Like when I'm on shows, I'll be able to portray it. But then I've got my Instagram, which is JK Reborn. I don't really delve in Twitter too much. I mean, I'm on it, but I'm not really like convoluting or whatever the fucking word is. I don't know. And I'm all over Facebook. So, yeah, that's pretty easy to find me. I also have Heel Turn Productions, which is my baby. I love editing. So Heel Turn Productions, who does all of EBW's promos and video edits and shows and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I'm all through that as well too. So anything you see that gets advertised by like clips and stuff is something that I've put together for people to kind of watch and enjoy. So Heel Turn Productions, I'm always open for making new music videos for wrestlers and stuff. I've made a few of them now. So yeah, I'm always open for that. So you can find me in all of that. And yeah, I hopefully I do Roxy proud, and I represent her the best way I can, and she'll always be with me, and no matter what happens, as the show was, always Kyla Murph, forever Roxy Ryot. So yeah, she'll. I hope I do her proud.
Absolutely. As I said, cracked record, but that's just who I am. Thanks again for jumping on. Thanks for hitting me up. As I said before, I do really appreciate your time. I've been talking to you for almost 2 hours. It'll probably be about an hour and a half once I've condensed it all down, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's my absolute pleasure. Like I said, I love talking about myself, but I also love talking about wrestling. And you've got me on both. So, I really appreciate the review of the show, or the match at least. Yeah, definitely. I hope to see a lot of opportunities come about where I can wrestle in front of you, or wrestle in front of people that don't know who I am, which will be the ultimate goal. So my glass ceiling is interstate. I don't plan on going into the US or anything. That's my son in the background. He's happy to be here too. So yeah, thank you for your time. Thank you for everything. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone listening. And yeah, life's too short. Don't waste it.
Thanks, Matt. You have a good night, brother.
You too.
All right, as I said, how fun was that conversation? And Jeremiah even pointed out my Muttley laugh, which if I had $1 for every time someone said that, I'd be fucking rich, but here we are. Thank you again to Jeremiah for coming on. I'll definitely have him back on, and as we said in the conversation, I really hope that I can make the MXW Rumble show, because I would love to be able to sit down and shoot the shit with him in person, even if it's not on the pod, just in general, have a laugh, have an adult beverage, whatever it may be. But yeah, keep your lookout for what Jeremiah has coming out, because as he said, this is just the beginning. He's taking a few interstate bookings towards the tail end of the year as we start to wrap it up. But keep a lookout for him 2024 for Reborn Jeremiah Kingsley. As we discussed in the conversation, obviously Roxy's passing, absolutely heartbreaking, devastating. And as I said in the intro and during the conversation with Jeremiah, I'll put the link to the GoFundMe in the description. I'll put the link to the meningitis charity in there as well. But yeah, just thank you to Jeremiah for coming on. I don't know what else to say. It's a very long episode because I like to talk, and turns out Jeremiah likes to talk. But yeah, just absolutely awesome. I had fun talking to him. I feel like this is probably the perfect episode to come back with, to be honest. But as always, when I talk about, clicking the links, check all the links for my socials, merch, etc., etc. I'll chuck all of Jeremiah's in there as well, especially the Heel Turn Productions, his YouTube channel. He's got a lot of cool shit coming up on there. So go check that out. But yeah, the song of the week this week was Unsainted by Slipknot. The match of the week was Jeremiah versus Roxy from SHWA Forever 10, or Schwa, as the locals in WA call it. But yeah, I'm just going to get out of here. We've waffled on long enough, especially if you've listened to the episode on top of that. But thank you guys for listening. Not sure when the next one will be, but I've got a few in the pipeline. Myself and Mrs. Crossfire still have to do our review of Heels Season 2. But yeah, I'm John L. Crossfire, and you were just caught in conversation. It's Mrs. Crossfire in the background. She's eavesdropping. Catch you later.
Bye, bitches.
I'm going to leave that in. Bye.